Good morning. So my apologies that it's late. I usually have it in the morning. It's not really late because it's sort of the day. So, but for me, it's late, right? Not that I was late in the morning, but it just sort of worked out that way. So I've had a really hard morning, really trying morning, and very challenging morning. So, those challenging mornings, you just sort of have to, just sort of flow through it as best as you can. When you have a hard morning, sometimes you sort of have a lot of maybe challenges or setbacks, and so you just have to not let that determine you and just chug along and as best as you can, try to avoid them and try to proceed, right? You need to say what needs to be said, but try not to engage in the in the challenge or the fight or whatever. I've had a lot of challenges today because of business and all that. And so just, sort of state the obvious. So that's why I'm late. So my apologies on that. Okay, so happy Monday, right? We're done with all the midterms. I graded everything, so make sure that you check your grade. And I will not be correcting anything from now on, from what we've had before. I'm not gonna correct anything. Sorry, I'm not gonna correct anything. I've given you more than enough time to check your grades and to tell me, so I'm not gonna correct anything anymore. All right. So from here on, we're probably midway through our class and our term. It's been different, most definitely, but I think it's been going really well. So I'm going to give you at the end of this video what your assignments are, and I'm not going to do a separate for class 145 and class 133. So I'm going to do the shortest one first in terms of assignments, and then so I'm going to do 145 first, and then after that I'm going to do 133 in terms of assignments. So that's going to be at the end. So because I have been, today's been a bizarre day for me, and I didn't go out running. I did have my coffee, which I'm not supposed to be drinking, but very challenging. So I usually, if you've been in my class, I usually have a day where in the mornings, or not in the mornings, but when you're in my class and you state, I am grateful for, and you state why you are grateful for. Okay, so today when you're going to do a screenshot about, about US, SU daily attendance, make sure that you state grateful for. So today I am grateful for myself, and I am grateful for the stability that I bring myself, and I am grateful for what I have done. And it's, and I thought a lot about not saying that because I'm being very cocky today, but really reflecting on some things that I'm going through that are very trying, that I sort of don't have anybody to dialogue with or go through in terms of feedback or brainstorming. And it is what it is, right? I'm it. So I'm the one that has to decide on however it is that I move forward, and I'm the one that needs to make sure that I cover all the bases for whatever it is that I'm doing, to make sure that I fully understand the situation that I'm in order to be able to perform and act accordingly. So so it really is about self, right, in this COVID-19, and we'll talk about everything that's going on and all that. But it really is, and before I forget, we're going to have our meeting on Wednesday, so I'll get to that in a minute. But it really is about self, and it is really about standing truly independent, and by being able to do so alone. That doesn't mean that you have to be alone, and that doesn't mean that you don't require help, and that doesn't mean that you're going to be resisting when you get help. Whenever you get help, okay? Even if you've asked for it or not, accept it, because that says a lot about where you're at and what it is that you need. So make sure that whenever you get help, to accept it and not to reject it. There's a lot of people that reject it because they feel that they need to do it alone. Yes, you can do it alone, and if you prefer, that's fine. But if you get help, because there's going to be times, as we know, in our lifetime where we're going to have to do it alone. So even though I was very frustrated today because I really needed feedback, and I really needed to to sort of brainstorm a situation, and I sort of don't know which way to go and what to do or whatever, even though I went and consulted with my mother yesterday, and I do have I do have a spiritual leader that is great and really guides me. But in the end, and that's why you have to be very careful with opinions and suggestions and everything, because in the end, everybody that helps you, right? And everybody that's telling you something. And if you're blessed to have that guidance, Mama was very instrumental yesterday. In the end, it's your decision. And in the end, you're the one that's going to have to live with it. And remember that your life is your life. And the only person that knows your life is you, even if you have people that you live with, your parents, your siblings, your spouse, your kids. In the end, your life is your life. And the one that knows their path is yourself. So people will be giving you advice and giving you suggestions and giving you their opinions on how they have lived their life and what their experiences are. I will tell you that I have lived a very extraordinary life, a very unique, very creative, very hard life, and a lot of things have happened to me in all realms, professionally, personally, spiritually, everything. And so in the end, I don't know that anybody could live my life, right? Just like I can't live anybody else's, but principally nobody can live my life. So you have to, and it's not a diss to anybody, it just is. So you have to take that into account, and you have to make sure that you understand that, because in the end, you are the one that lives your life. And so you are the one that is truly responsible and is truly the one that, determines their future, right? I believe that there's some things that are fated and destined, but I also do believe that there's a lot of things that we can choose, and that we have free will, and that we can sway, and we can, depending on our choices, right, that we could determine and create the life that we so live. It's a lot of work, but it's really about having lots of discipline and having lots of focus, which is what, for class 133, what your personal goals are. And we'll get about that. We'll get to that. What are your personal goals in terms of professional, career, spiritual, family, friendships, amorous love, siblings, so what are your goals, and financially, and what are those? And to be able to clearly define them and be able to discipline yourself in order to understand what it is that you need for those goals in order to achieve them, and discipline yourself to get through them, right? If you're gonna be in the healthcare, career, well, you need to go to school and learn all these things, right? You can't just get in the healthcare career and that's it. I guess you could, but you probably won't be as efficient and as proficient that if you went to school. So most definitely determine that. So in the end, it is your responsibility, and it is solely you, the one that truly knows, and everybody can help you out, but they sort of don't know. And so today I was very frustrated because I really needed some feedback and I wasn't able to get it. Right, and so finally when I went for my coffee after a very trying and difficult morning, which is really, really late for me, we're heading in and it's almost 1 o'clock and I'm very behind, and I still have to do some appointments that I have to do and all that. I just finally chilled, right? And sometimes it's important to understand that. And I will be having, after our meeting, a meditation session. I tried it out the other day with one of my students last term, and it really seemed to work. It was, I sort of felt that he needed it while we were doing the conferencing, the Microsoft Teams. He stayed on. There were some students that stayed on whenever they need to talk to me. So everybody sort of mutes it and whatever. And then, and they sort of tell me something, whatever it is that they need. So this particular student last term, I just felt him very, just like he needed meditation. And there were some other things that we discussed that had nothing to do with school, right? So in the end, I did a meditation session with him because I felt that he needed to learn how to meditate. He was open for it, and we did a really good meditation session for it. So that was something very interesting and something that can be done, via, Zoom or Microsoft Teams. So after we're done with our session, I will allow some time. So for those of you who want to join me, I will teach you how to meditate. I think it's very, very important. It's very interesting because, big corporations and big institutions, do this and have their staff meditate. And so part of my school, and when I was in high school, and it was very interesting because after I left, it was the whole district went that way. But I had a teacher that I went and sent off to, specific training for mindfulness of school. So even though we couldn't bring in religion, right, because that's not proper, there was a section, especially for my high schools, with their teenagers. So it was about showing them to be mindful and to be conscientious about, first and foremost, of themselves, and then to be able to discipline themselves and control themselves in order to express express it outwardly, right? So it was very, very successful. So first and foremost, I think meditation and mindfulness is huge. And I think in this time of, all the protests that are going out, I think it's important. Remember that, and we can discuss this further, that, violence just leads to more violence, right? And Martin Luther King was all about, being peaceful, and so was Gandhi, and every great leader has never forced violence. And so I know that it is very, disheartening and very hard, but in the end, this is when mindfulness comes to being, and it is, truly being in control of ourselves. I sort of see all, there was, I haven't really kept up with it because I just don't do news that much or whatever, because there's a lot of energies that affect me, and so I have to be very careful about what I take and what I take in, right? And so there was a couple of people that I saw, and they're like, my father's business is just torn to shreds and all that. So looting and all that does not make anything better, right? We have to see what we can do that in the place that we can do it, and in our environment, in our life, that we can change in order to help change, right? And violence begets violence. So violence is not good, and we don't get anywhere except, maybe being, thrown into jail, and then what happens then, right? So we can discuss all those things. So so I've discussed a lot of things. There's a lot to discuss. But anyway, so going back to, being grateful for, right? So I was very frustrated about, so being mindful. I was very frustrated because I couldn't, I didn't have anybody to sort of guide me. I needed, maybe opinions and suggestions, and I have no one, right? I have no one that I can go to and say, well, what about this? What about that? Or whatever. In part because my business is my business, and I'm the only one that knows, and I deal with, lots of money and lots of decisions and lots of deals that are first and foremost secret. I can't tell anybody because it can't get out. But second, nobody can do what I can do, right? And even though, I am, I think I'm pretty well established in my field, there's other people within my field that are much more knowledgeable. But the point is that, in my immediate environment, I just don't have somebody to brainstorm on it. So it's difficult. It's difficult, especially if you're a single parent. Even though I was married and I had my second husband has been great. He's been very helpful. I basically have raised the children. So it's those decisions that you have to do and you have to take where it's just you, right? And which is sometimes better, but it's just definitely you. So, so today I'm grateful to be able to reflect that I can do it, and that I have myself, and that I am grateful to be independent and be able to decide as best as I can to move forward. And so, so I'm very grateful. So for a very long time, I guess this is the first time I've actually realized and actually acknowledged that I'm grateful for myself, and I'm grateful for what I've done, and I'm grateful for as far as I've gotten. And so what are you grateful for today? And really, don't put stupid stuff, and I'm not saying that, that we're not grateful, but I had a student, one of my terms, and they're like, and they did this whole midterm or final about being grateful, and how she said that, that even though some students, when I went, because we do this a lot in my class, what are you grateful for? And people are like this, that, family, this, but it's not truly, when you truly reflect on what you are grateful, and the significance and that and the importance that brings into your life, like coffee. Like I was really wanting to get my coffee so I could really calm down and focus and be zen and be balanced to be able to proceed with whatever it is that I had to proceed, like this video. I was in no condition in the morning because of the challenges that I had to do a video. So I'm not going to create a video, and I'm not going to record a video when I'm not at my best. And that doesn't mean look at my best, because I'm getting older and whatever, and so the lighting's always off or whatever, but truly at my core, be at my best, to be the best teacher and the best leader and the best advocate for you all on what we're doing that I can be. So I'm not going to bring in, low vibrations, or I'm not going to be grumpy. It's okay if I'm grumpy, but in the end, I have to give you all my best, right? And so, so it is about being grateful, and what is it that you're being grateful about, right? And truly understanding that. And so that student said, as students proceeded to just, answer the teacher's question, I reflected and I couldn't wait for my turn because I was truly grateful. And she went through this whole explanation of why she was grateful to her spouse and how he had completely changed her life and how because of him she was back in school. And so those are the things that we should be grateful for, right? What inspires us, what humbles us, what really breaks us down at our core, to fully understand, being grateful and being appreciative. And so write it down, what today I am grateful for, and write it down, screenshot, and then upload it. I think the uploads are going to be already up. We will only have, 2 attendance days this week. I have quite a bit, so we don't need any more. We will be having our team's meeting on Wednesday. For English 145, I had a lot of students that told me that they couldn't attend, and that was legit. And I thank you for assisting. Nothing will happen. I'm not going to give you a grade because I don't think it's fair to the people that cannot assist to dock them or anything. But I will tell you this: if you are available, okay, and like Mario, and there was a lot of other students that were there, like you could tell they were coming out of work or they made an effort or whatever. And I had a lot of students that were at work, and I had problems with English 133 because we couldn't get on for whatever reasons. And I don't think I did anything wrong, but anyway, but in the end I got on, and I'll mention that in a minute. But going back to Mario, going back to the students that logged on and then they couldn't, and then they made arrangements. So I thank you because you all really made an effort to truly make it to class, right? And make it to that meeting. Other reviews, right? I sort of had complications. I did get on in the end, and then everybody sort of disappeared. You guys knew that I was on, and you chose not to, and that's fine, right? It was my error, and I had difficulty logging in, so that's okay. But I do have this to tell you, okay? You all are paying for this. You all are paying for class, and what you really are paying is for my expertise, and you're paying for your teacher's expertise. You can learn and you can do whatever it is that you need to do in your book. You can teach yourself. I did the whole lecture on this, I think last week or whatever, about teaching yourself and about knowledge and accumulating schemata and and foundation, right? So you can be taught whatever it is that you want by yourself. But what you're really, truly, truly paying for in school is first year degree, right? You have to go through certain classes in order to get certified, and they and these institutions are, there's specific requirements that they have to meet, so they're legit and all that. That's what I'm saying. But in the end, you are paying for our expertise. You're paying for all those doctors that are doctors to be able for you to tap into their knowledge. And the same for me, right? I'm general ed and I'm English, but our conversations for English 133 and our conversations with English 145 were tremendously profound about how language is used. In terms of 145, we had an excellent dialogue. We had excellent dialogue in 133 as well about foundations, about rude words and technical writing, about what it was in terms of having resources. So I am your expert, and so you can either choose to really take full advantage of my knowledge, or not, right? And of course we had technical difficulties, and for those of you who couldn't make it, that's fine, but you're just losing out. You're losing out. I mean, when you go to an attorney, a really good attorney will cost you about $150 to $200 an hour, and people will pay for their expertise to defend them, to do this and that. We're included in your tuition, right? And so we don't charge extra, not, at least not in school. So take advantage of what your teachers have in terms of knowledge, because that is huge. That's a huge resource. And more importantly, we're open to you all. I mean, you guys, text me at 12 o'clock at night, which is crazy. We'll discuss that later, and that's fine. I know that that's probably when you can do it. Just be mindful that sort of doesn't jive in profession, that there's certain hours that you have to do that. But if you text me and I'm awake, I'll text back to you, because I know that you guys get, sort of anxious and all that, and that's fine with me, and I don't have a problem with it. I'm just telling you in terms of real life. But people pay very high value and a lot of money to be able to get an expert's advice. I tell you that I'm in my real estate career. And so, you know, in order for people to come to me, I usually charge $2,000 in order to just advise them on my expertise and my specialties, and that's my going rate. So I highly encourage you to fully take advantage of your teachers and take advantage of their knowledge. You know, don't cop out and don't, you know, shortcut yourself, and don't, what's the word that I'm trying to use? Maybe don't, you know, I don't know what the word is when you're like, not giving yourself the best and not giving yourself all, you know, like not shortcomings. I don't know what it is. Don't because you don't want to sit there in your meeting for half an hour or 15 minutes because it's boring or whatever. You know, all you're doing is just hindering the knowledge and not expanding on the knowledge and the expertise that you have available to you. It's sort of like having a ticket to a really neat concert, whatever it is, and you deciding not to go because it starts late or something, and just missing out because whatever, right? Because que flojera, because how lazy or whatever. So something like that. I don't know that that's a good example, but you know, so make sure that you use this to your best advantage. And if we're having meetings, you know, my meeting was very, very interesting, both of them, and I have a lot of knowledge. I did curriculum, so I'm explaining to you, the core of my classes is explaining to you how language is created, how language is structured in order for you to pass your medical terminology. So even though I don't, you know, reference medical terms or that because I don't know them, I will teach you how to figure them out and how it is that you have to learn your structures and how it is that you have to learn your word families in order to do exceptionally well and be able to pass. So I highly recommend that. So that's the deal with that. So we will be having a meeting on Wednesday, and hopefully for English 133 it goes fine. For English 145 it went well. 145, there's a lot of students that I'm missing, and there's a lot of students that haven't turned in stuff. So I don't know where you guys are. If you guys know the people who are supposed to be in my class, make sure you tell them. I don't know what to do. English 133, it should all work out. You know, give it a few minutes and don't hide, you know, and if you want to hide, then that's fine. But you're really missing out on something incredible, right? Homework for this week. Homework for this week for English 145 will be chapter 4. I have not put the link up. That will probably be today's Monday, late Monday, so it'll be due on Thursday. I will put the link up hopefully today or tomorrow. So make sure that you do English for English 145. Make sure that you do Cengage chapter 4. Okay, and then we have our meeting on Wednesday. All right, it's already in the schedule. One of my students said that all he did was log on to Microsoft, you know, with his, you know, email, you know, he just logged on to his email, and then he just went to calendar, I think, and it was there. So you shouldn't have that much trouble, okay? And you have to go through the process in order to figure out how to get through it. And it's better to do it now with my class, so that way you won't be struggling through the process and the programs for the other ones. For those of you who went to my meetings, it was very constructive meetings. Specifically in 133 was great with the like little students that I had left. I think there was only like 6 students or something like that. English 145, I think there was only 4 or 5 students that attended. You know, come on guys, get it together. I'm just saying. And but those of you who did attend, they were very constructive meetings, and I thank you for your contribution, and I thank you for all the participation. And for those of you who, like Mario, that, you know, that was on the road and he just like was in 100-degree weather or whatever, and I'm sure that he turned it off and didn't have his ears because he couldn't hear me well, you know, I commend you and I thank you for it, and I am very grateful. Okay, so Cengage 145, you need chapter 4, and then English 133, we're gonna do chapter 3, and it's textbook learning. So Cengage and English 145, you don't need to stay for the rest of this video. This is English 133. If you're English 133, this is it. These are learning objectives, and these are about Cornell notes. I will discuss Cornell notes. They're very, very, very important, and it's about note taking. And the most challenging thing about school for me when I was in college was I was always really scared that I didn't know how to take notes, and I didn't. So it was a learn in progress, and it was crucial for me to understand to take notes appropriately. Excuse me. So here we go. This is going to be, make sure that you read chapter 3, and we will do page 103, personal feedback. For those of you who caught what I didn't put in last time, I thank you, and I'm probably going to miss some as well. This is about learning and expanding your vocabulary, so that's what the homeworks will be, just like the other ones. So bear with me. So you have page 110, vocabulary, right? And then you have, give me a minute. You have page 129, vocabulary. And then you have vocabulary enrichment on 130. And let's do A, and let's do B on page 139. I think there is some missing. Hold on. Give me a minute. There's another one missing. 10. Oh, page 119, vocabulary. Please forgive me. I missed that one. I knew I was missing one. And then we have, and then that's it. Okay? So go back so that way you all know what it is. And you can upload on Thursday. I will put the links up hopefully tomorrow. Many blessings. Make sure that you state whatever it is that you are grateful for. And I will see you on Wednesday. But I will do daily attendance tomorrow. Many blessings. Love and light. Ciao.